Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Jaylyn with BasicToBeauty here on YouTube, and for today's video I will be showing you how I made this beautiful modern black and gold Starburst decor piece using products from Walmart and the Dollar Tree. As always, a full list of items used to create this DIY will be listed in the description box below, so without further ado, let's get started. Now before we begin, I do have to let you know that this DIY was heavily inspired by the modern burst and cube decor that can be found on pier1.com for only $20. And as you can see here, it is currently on sale for $15, which I honestly think is a very reasonable price for what you get. It says online that this item is crafted entirely of iron and measures a little over 6.5 inches all the way around. I think it is a very beautiful piece, and I would have purchased one for myself had it only measured 2 times its size. And that's when I had the idea that I could just create my own version of this piece to measure how I wanted it to, and the best part of it all was that I was able to do it for only $20. That's right, I was able to create a larger replica of this exact item for the same price as the original price tag was listed for, and if you just keep watching, I'll show you how it was done. So to create this DIY, I purchased 6 of these black 12 by 12 7 photo collage picture frames from the Dollar Tree, and I carefully removed the cardboard backing, the photo insert, and the glass cover from each of my picture frames just like so. I then took some regular scissors and using a little force at a time, I carefully removed the small metal brackets all along the edges of my frames, and I repeated the same step for all 6 picture frames. Now because I am somewhat of a perfectionist and I didn't want to see any of the nicks or scratches that were on my frames previously, I sprayed one even coat of this black spray paint all along my frames and I laid them out to dry. Here's what they look like once they were dried, and I was ready to move on to the next step. Then, using some of this E6000 glue that I purchased from Walmart for only a few dollars and some change, I carefully glued each of the frames together on the bottom of the frames, making sure that the front of the frames were facing outwards at all times. Then, I used 2 sets of these heavy-duty clamps that I purchased from the Dollar Tree to clamp the frames together until everything was dry and the frames felt secure. And here's what it looked like once I was finished. Then, moving on to the Starburst portion of this DIY, I used one of these 2.4-inch floral craft foam balls that came in a pack of 6 and one of these 1/4-inch wooden dowels that I purchased from Walmart for less than $1 to create the foundation for my Starburst. I did this by using a pair of needle nose pliers to cut the wooden dowel so that it would measure 20 inches long. And using the same floral craft foam ball as mentioned previously, I pressed the wooden dowel down the middle of the ball all the way through until it pierced the other side of the ball. Then, using these bamboo skewers that I purchased from the Dollar Tree, I cut each skewer in half so that they would measure 5 inches total. And once that was finished, I'd cut approximately 70 skewers or so, and I was ready to put my Starburst together. Now for this next step, I discovered this technique from Trisha J here on YouTube, and all I did was I carefully removed the wooden dowel from the ball so that the 2 ends were exposed. I then placed my fingers over each opening so that I wouldn't mess up those holes as I was inserting the skewers around the ball. I then placed each skewer into the ball one at a time until the ball was fully covered and it looked evenly distributed. Here's what my Starburst looked like once I was finished, and now that I had marked where all the skewers were going to go on the ball, I carefully removed all the sticks and I set them aside for the next step. I then used 2 of these craft floral foam pieces to hold the skewers in so that I was able to spray paint them evenly afterwards. Now because I wanted my Starburst to have somewhat of a gold and silver ombre effect, I used this Rust-oleum metallic gold finish spray that I purchased from Walmart for $5, and I covered the skewers from top to bottom with 2 coats of paint. Then, to cover only the tips of the skewers, I used some of this Krylon silver glitter spray paint that I also purchased from Walmart for $5, and I applied 2 even coats of this paint as well. And here's what my skewers look like once they were finished, and honestly, I am still obsessing over how beautiful these turned out. I then spray painted 2 even coats of the metallic gold paint over the floral foam ball and the wooden dowel. And once these were fully dried, I then hot glued the foam ball to the wooden dowel in the middle so that it would stay in place at all times. I then hot glued each of the skewers down one by one in their designated holes, making sure that the original wood was no longer showing. And if it was, I would then trim off some of the excess with my needle nose pliers before I glued them down. And finally, for the moment that you have all been waiting for, this is what the Starburst looked like once it was put together and I was ready to glue it inside of the framed box. I did this by carefully lowering the Starburst into the cube standing straight up, and then once it was inside the cube, I turned it at an angle so that it would be balanced by the frames at a slant. And then I hot glued the ends down and held everything in place until the glue fully dried and everything felt secure. And that is how I made this beautiful modern black and gold Starburst decor piece for only $20 using products from Walmart and the Dollar Tree. If you are interested in making one for yourself, a full list of items used to create this DIY will be listed in the description box below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care, guys.